Okay. Hi, I'm Elgin Bowling, your creative caricature marketing consultant, and I tried not to talk about this because everybody has talked about the Mike Tyson fight with Jake Paul, but I just couldn't hold it back anymore. So I want to give my 2 cents, and this live might be interrupted, so I apologize in advance. I'll get in as much material as I can. Here goes. I was a karate practitioner. Started when I was 11 years old and did karate assiduously up until 50 years old. I was even sparring. And I remember when I was 50 years old, I started sparring a 20-year-old. I had more experience, I had more savvy in sparring, but I do remember the fight, and this guy with inferior ability, but more strength, more stamina, because he was 20, kept hitting me with an uppercut. Once he realized that he could hit me with the uppercut at will, that's what he started doing every time we got in close. And I was blocking the uppercut, and it got to be so bad after a while that he started throwing the uppercut real slow, powering through my pitiful defense at holding him back, putting his glove underneath my chin and slowly raising it up. I had a reputation for being a kicking specialist and a very powerful puncher. And yet all of that didn't mean anything that this 20-year-old, because this 20-year-old was bigger, he was stronger, he was faster, and, at least that sparring session, he had a mean streak. He wanted to show me I can hit you anytime I want, old man. And so, as a result, I stopped doing karate for years. That was a mistake. And I'm having health issues because I stopped doing the thing that I loved. So I'm saying that to say this. I understand what people are saying about Mike Tyson being a 58-year-old man and this guy being 27 years old. I understand that health wise, he probably doesn't have the stamina that this guy has. He has the experience, he knows what he wants to do, but he doesn't have that stamina. And he came into the ring with a knee brace on, meaning his knees weren't exactly working right. But here's where it gets questionable. You see, Mike Tyson is a type of fighter that always is going in. It's constant pressure. He has no retreat switch. And he does his best work, even when he was younger, he does his best work in the opening rounds. Round one, round two, and it's a gift if you last for round three. Usually didn't, because he comes in, he starts blasting you with those body punches. He slips your punches with ease, and he just keeps hammering you. That's what I was expecting to see. But you see, Mike Tyson, as some of you might know, he wasn't given that opportunity at all. In fact, according to his contract, from what I understand, he could not knock Jake out in the first round. And if he did, he would be penalized by not getting paid at all. And I mean, that's what Mike was there for, to get paid. Okay? So, Mike finds himself in the uncomfortable position of not doing what he is trained to do. As a matter of fact, it was to Mike's advantage as a 58-year-old man to get in quick, hammer this guy to the ground, and pick up his 20 million or so. But they didn't give him an opportunity to do that. And not only that, every subsequent round, he was not allowed to knock this guy out. And if he did, he would get paid a little less. So he was actually being paid by the round, and he had to guarantee that Jake Paul would survive the round. That's why when you watch the fight, Mike he's walking around like an old man, like an old man in his room, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to walk. And he's actually following Jake around like they're in some kind of crazy waltz. I mean, Mike was standing right in front of this guy, and he's not even throwing a jab. He's not even throwing a punch. And he's waiting for Jake Paul. At one point, Jake Paul hits Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson with 3 consecutive left hooks. 3 hooks. Maybe on a good night, he'd be able to hit Mike with 1. Because Mike's head is constantly on that swivel, not 3, he would have slipped the other 2 and counted. There was none of that. Mike Tyson was interviewed before the fight started, and he was asked about his legacy, and he replied he didn't care about his legacy. And that's the key to why he threw the fight. Mike Tyson took a dive. And at first I was bitterly disappointed in Mike Tyson and said to myself, how can you do that to the fans? If you was going to lose, go out on your shield, go out like a champion. But you didn't do that. You were selfish. But then I thought about it. Mike Tyson was concerned about his legacy. And for a man his age, who has some financial problems, his legacy was his grandchildren. And what he wanted to do was leave his grandchildren an inheritance of some point. Nobody's coming up to Mike Tyson at 58 years old and offering him $20 million. To my knowledge, Mike Tyson doesn't have this nice check coming in from endorsements like Shaq or George Foreman. So Mike did the one thing that he had to do. He had to protect his legacy, and that's his personal legacy. His legacy is his grandchildren and his children and his wife. And if a guy's going to do that for his family, who am I to get mad at him for that? I still don't like this business because I don't like the way Mike Tyson was humiliated. And there's still something inside of me. I guess I'm split. I have ambivalent feelings. Mike Tyson, I feel, on the one hand, should have said, he should have agreed to the rules, then proceeded to knock Jake out in the first round. That's one fantasy that I have. Saying, to hell with what I agreed to, I'll fight this out in court. Okay? The second fantasy I have is in round number 7, because it was only for 8 rounds. In round number 7, Mike beats Jake up long enough and convincingly enough to not knock him out, but to hurt him in the body and make it clear I could have done this any time that I wanted, and let Jake get the unanimous decision. My third fantasy is when, in the 8th round, when Jake Paul magnanimously, quotation marks, refuses to knock Mike Tyson out because he's tired and he feels sorry for him. He turns, he backs up and bows like he's paying some kind of homage to Mike. And the fight ends there. It would have been poetic justice for me, for Mike, when he bowed, when Jake bowed, to knock the living daylights out of him, stand over him and said, didn't you know that you're supposed to protect yourself at all times? You can have your fantasy. That's just mine. So, this is Elgin Subway Surfer Bowling, your creative caricature marketing consultant. Not talking about caricature today, but boy, it really would have made a great cartoon if I thought to draw that. Anyway, who knows? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll call it alternate endings or something like that.